Politickin.com.
Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's your boy Davey. You're listening to Politickin As Usual on the Politickin Show.
The Politickin Show is brought to you by Audible. With over 180,000 titles to choose from, Audible is great for any continuous learner wanting to grow and expand their knowledge and insight. Go to www.audibletrial.com/POaudio and get an audiobook of your choice free with a 30-day trial. After the trial, your paid membership will begin at $14.95 per month. With your membership, you will receive 1 credit every month, good for an audiobook on Audible. Cancel before your trial ends and you will not be charged. So go to www.audibletrial.com/POaudio and download a free book by Tony Robbins, Grant Cardone, Napoleon Hill, Les Brown, Damon John, and more. Always remember that knowledge is power.
Politics as usual. 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 Politics as usual.
Welcome back to Politics as Usual. I'm chilling with my homie Davey. This is Poe. How you doing, bro?
Man, what's going on, Poe, man? It's good to be back.
Chilling, man. We didn't tell them how long we go back, man. How long we go back?
Man, let's see. We're looking at ninth grade year of high school. I don't know if we should give the date and let everybody know exactly how old we are, but we'll say ninth grade of high school, around spring semester, man. You were one of the first non-Air Force based people I met and befriended at school, and we've been tight ever since.
Just said we used to have some good conversations and we played football together and all that.
Yeah, man. We started out. We ate lunch together that first spring, and then I think the following fall semester. But yeah, locker room, football field. We both played on the O-line. For Coach Winters, shout out to Spark Plug. I don't know if he'll ever listen to this podcast to hear his shout out, but maybe someone else will and be like, yo, you remember Dave and Chris? Yo, they shouted you out. So,
Spark Plug.
But yeah, we go. But yeah, man, shouts out to Spark Plug, man. If I had a dip of wintergreen, chewing tobacco or whatever it was, I'd take a dip for him, man. Shout out to Coach Winters.
All right, so we back. It was supposed to be bi-weekly, but we got busy. But we gonna stay on the bi-weekly now. So what you got going on?
Well, man, like everyone else in the world, I assume everyone either paid to watch the Conor McGregor, Floyd Mayweather fight, or you were like me and you bootleg streamed that shit.
Hey, I said, what you think about, I was like, man, people cannot be this stupid. Like, you saw all the people on Facebook asking for the stream? I'm like, are you serious?
It was the same thing on Twitter. Now, I'll search usually if it's a fight, whether it's an MMA match or even like a NFL, like I don't have Sunday Ticket or whatever. If I want to see a game that no one else cares about and it's not on national TV, I'll go on Twitter or go on Reddit and search, and somebody will have a link to the game. But it did amaze me how many people were just like, yo, I need a stream to the fight. And then it was equally amazing how many people live streamed over Instagram, on Facebook, and on Periscope on Twitter. Now, it's kind of like, damn, I'm all for artists and athletes, paying, but there's just so many fights, so much music, so much entertainment out there. You can't pay for all of it, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, damn, it's so easy how you can watch stuff for free. I don't know why anybody. Shouts out to the people who still buy pay-per-views, because I can't remember the last. I'll chip in on pay-per-views with friends, but I don't buy them straight up because it's too damn expensive.
Yeah, especially I'm a wrestling fan, so ever since that WWE Network, you pay $9 a month. Shit, I don't gotta buy no wrestling pay-per-views no more. And with boxing, the thing about boxing too, why I don't buy pay-per-views, most of them, they're gonna show the fight the week after on the HBO or Showtime channel. So I would just wait instead of paying $100 for the pay-per-view, because they're gonna show it next week. They're gonna show it on HBO or Showtime or whatever.
Right, and it's been like that for years. I can remember, living with my parents. It was before MMA was around, but it wasn't nothing like it was now. So the only combat sport we ever watched was boxing. And unless it was like Lennox Lewis and I think my dad ordered the Lewis and Tyson fight. And then I think we watched. You remember when Hakeem Rahman got that big ass
on his head? Yeah.
I saw that live. But I mean, there was very few fights. You know, it was always like a party thing, like everybody get together at somebody's house. But you know, if there's a boxing match we had mild interest in, yeah, you knew it was coming on next week, and we would just wait. You don't really have that in MMA, but you can go find like full fight replays on YouTube before it gets taken down. Hell, I watched this fight twice today, the McGregor and Mayweather fight. There were several 1080 HD replays on YouTube. So
what you thought about the fight?
Man, okay, so I had a freelance assignment and wasn't able to watch all of it live. I was able to watch the last, I think, rounds 8, 9, and 10. But you know, on the way back home, I'm listening to ESPN radio, and they're giving, you know, a few updates here or there. But when I watched it, when I got home and kind of caught up on Twitter, I was kind of like, damn, you know, everybody said McGregor winning this fight. Everyone was gassed, like McGregor was whipping this dude's ass. Then I tune in, and Floyd's just kind of chilling. Floyd didn't look like he had been hit. He didn't look like he'd been shook at all. And Conor was starting to tire, and then, you know, Floyd just started dancing around, like popping him in the face. Going back and watching the whole fight, I was very unimpressed.
I say, you know, like, what I noticed a lot with boxing, it be the announcers, man. They can make or break the fight. It's how they call the fight. Yeah, because if you notice, anytime McGregor was doing something, dude was like, "Oh, McGregor with the punch," like, yeah, and and then Mayweather was like, "Oh, Mayweather with the jab," but then when McGregor was doing it, he was like hyping it up extra. So I think break those fights.
And I agree. Do you remember the last fight Manny had in Australia?
Yeah, the horn fight.
And that was kind of the opposite way. You know, everyone was kind of like, "Oh, there goes Manny, there goes Manny." Manny's teeing off again. And then he loses on the cards, and you know, it's the opposite way. Everyone was kind of in one corner, but the decision went the other way. I think in this case, guys on the mic, which they were fairly tame ringside for the first couple of rounds, but you know, those middle rounds, it was kind of like, damn, like, okay, like I know dude's punching him, but he's not really doing anything. But I think that added to the spectacle of it. You know, it was such a circus anyway that it was almost like they were trying to sell it too.
Right.
Like you remember,
was in on it. It's just like wrestling, like it was all a big fix.
Yeah, you might as well have had Jerry Lawler
and Jim Ross.
Yeah, seriously, man, with every punch, you'd be like, oh my God, you know, just, it was.
But what did you think about, I mean, he did, that first round, he hit him with the uppercut. He raised him up with the uppercut.
That was the one time in the fight where I thought, oh, damn, he stole off.
Yeah.
But Floyd reminded everyone after the fight, he said, hey, I told y'all I was going to come forward. I wasn't going to do like I normally do and retreat, you know, sidestep, you know, dance around and just counterpunch. He said I was going to come forward, and that's what I did. And I thought it was really interesting. Those first 2 rounds, Floyd barely threw a punch. He just basically kind of walked in, kind of measured. He got hit a few times, but it didn't faze him. Everyone talked about Conor McGregor's power. And, if he lands cleanly, if, you know, Conor's the bigger fighter.
Times, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he had clean shots a bunch and never hurt Floyd, which I think is interesting because Floyd's 2 years off, 40 years old, and nowhere near as thick as McGregor. And we've seen McGregor knock people out in UFC. McGregor's he's a top 5 striker in UFC. But I thought it was interesting that of all the shots that he did land, he never hurt him, not once. And everyone's gassed off this fight, like, oh man, who, you know, I've seen all the memes, you know how the internet is, the internet memes everything, like, oh, you know, boxing's greatest boxer, you know, took 10 rounds to defeat a first time boxer or whatever. And I can't even wrap my head around how so many people got finessed in this, and how many people are willingly got finessed. Like, I just don't get it, and I almost want to like record a public service announcement, something, and tell everybody, look, we've all been had. These dudes got filthy rich, and this wasn't even for real.
They had to make, to me, like, if you ever watched that, movie, The Great White Hype? Like, they had to, like, Floyd had to kind of, like, make it a fight. Like, he would have just came in there, did his thing, and not even made it a fight. People really would be mad. He had to, like, wrestling. You got to build a show up and work it.
Yep. You bring up an interesting comparison to that movie. That's one of my all-time favorite movies. All-star cast, great writing. I think Jeff Goldblum is underrated in that movie. Of course, Jamie Foxx, one of Jamie Foxx's first movies, and he's hilarious in it. But I was telling my DJ in New Orleans, DJ Critical, man, we were talking the other night. I said, you know what this is? This is the same exact script. I mean, Conor McGregor is Irish. Conor McGregor is former amateur boxer, or has a boxing base. I think he had an amateur boxing history.
Yeah, he did.
Of course, Floyd, title holder, biggest thing in boxing, 2 years off. I think Damon Wayans just got lazy and got fat in the movie. Yeah. But everything, I wonder if Conor McGregor, I don't know if anyone in pre-fight or post-fight ever asked him, hey, are you a fan of the movie The Great White Hype? I don't know if that's been on record, him having to answer that question. Because if I was in pre-fight or post-fight interviews at those press conferences, I'm fighting. That's the only fucking question I have. Conor, did you see this movie? Why are you doing this movie in real life? Like what? How smart are you two to actually do it without anyone noticing? We all got finesse.
I'm gonna ask you. So, what did you think about? Because there was a lot of like racism. So I noticed like this guy I listened to. He's a podcaster too. But he, a lot of people was out there with the Irish flags, and he was rocking the American flag for Floyd. But it seemed like Floyd, like any other time, if it's America versus Irish, everybody go for American. But since I guess it was Floyd, everybody still was going for Conor. Like it wasn't that American patriotism like you would expect. But at the same time, I look at it like kind of like that's Floyd too. So that's probably another reason why he doesn't get that patriotism like he should.
Conor McGregor isn't just he's been in UFC so much or so long now and had so much success that he is a star in the US. It didn't he kind of came out of nowhere and was this Irish guy who, has fought in a couple big time fights in Vegas, boxing wise. So I think he had that name recognition. And I think, of course, a lot of white people are going to cling, to the white guy. Just like you saw all of the black celebrities, come out for the fight to support Floyd. These guys knew what they were doing. At one point, I do know that when McGregor called Mayweather boy, I was kind of like, man, surely you guys had a script of things not to say. Or maybe you guys sat down and thought, man, you know what, you should call me boy today.
Yeah, I think he said that shit. Yeah.
Did he?
I think he told me. I think all this stuff. Because, man, bro, did you see right after the fight how happy that brother was?
Oh, dude. They looked at each other like.
It was right after the fight. It wasn't no, oh, man, I'm pissed off. That motherfucker was smiling, bro. It was like ear to ear. He was happy as shit. He did not care, bro. They know what I'm saying? It reminded me of wrestling so much, bro.
I wouldn't be surprised. Doesn't Floyd own a strip club in Vegas? I wouldn't be surprised if
Conor in that strip club.
If they went and dropped about $1 million, maybe two, each went and dropped $1 million in the strip club and partied all night. I looked
at it like, see, I said all of it, man. I looked at psychology of it because to me, when Floyd came out in that mask, I look at it like he telling y'all, I'm robbing y'all. I'm taking all y'all money. That's what I was taking. I thought of it.
I totally agree. Of course, I didn't see that until I watched it
came out with a
the
goon
next day.
mask and everything. All black, like goon mask, like Kodak Black be doing.
Yeah, it reminded me of the the old True album.
Yeah.
And I thought at first I laughed like, man, Floyd's silly because he always comes out like when he fought, God, who was it? Where he put the sombrero on?
Yeah, I still holding all them. Yep.
Yeah, I thought, man, Floyd's a trip. But then I thought, like just like you, and I'm sure a lot of people thought that too. A lot of people who looked at it beyond just it's a spectacle of a boxing match. I've been thinking for a while, whether McGregor won, whether McGregor lost, whether it went 10 rounds, whether he got knocked out in 2, who really wins after the most high-profile boxing bout between an MMA fighter and a boxer? The only people who win are Floyd and Conor McGregor.
Yeah,
MMA
the fans didn't win. To me, the fans are going to win with the Triple G fight. That's
right,
the true boxing fans.
The true boxing fans are going to win. MMA fans think Conor did something by going 10 rounds and winning some of those. Floyd fans and boxing fans think it was a walk in the park for Floyd, and I agree. And that he shut down all the chatter of MMA guys stepping into high-profile boxing matches. But does this set the precedent for other MMA guys to step into a boxing ring and make some bigger money? Because now there's a blueprint.
But who would it be?
See, and that's the thing.
I guess a good one would be right now. I was going to ask you about him, but since he's suspended, it might be good for John Jones to go in boxing.
Part of me thinks John Jones should go wrestle because, John Jones could go box, but then John Jones is going to fail a drug test. And in the WWE, that's not as big of a deal. And I'm saying this as I used to watch wrestling back in the day fan. I don't keep up with it anymore. It's not as big of a blow to the sport when someone in wrestling gets popped for performance-enhancing drugs as it is in boxing or MMA.
Right.
I would love to see Floyd go head up with Deontay Wilder. That would be let John Jones put on about 15 more pounds, kind of fill out his trunk a little bit so he can take a few body shots. But man, that would be an incredible match. Of course, Deontay Wilder's 6'6", 6'7".
I don't think that's what he wants. I actually want to see Deontay Wilder fight that Joshua dude.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude. I think we're all waiting on that. And I say that as a fringe boxing fan. Like I watch the big fights whenever they're on. I'll catch replays on HBO. After the fact. But that's one I would consider going and, to a friend's house, throwing in on a fight and watching that one live. Yeah. But what do you think? Do you think this fight, the build-up, the collaboration between Floyd's boxing promoters and Floyd himself and the collaboration with the UFC, do you think this sets the table for other MMA stars, mainly just UFC? I mean, we're not even going to factor in Bellator. But
I don't know. I think, I look at this one, it was special, it was unique because you got Floyd. So you have somebody that can generate the money in boxing, but then you had the star like McGregor. So when are you going to have somebody like that again? Like, you're going to have some, because you really, like, who's the top draw besides Floyd in boxing right now?
Man, I mean, I'll defer. Maybe Canelo. Maybe Canelo.
Maybe.
I mean,
but Canelo, his biggest fight was probably when he fought Mayweather. That was his biggest money fight. So I'm saying, like, we can see. I was looking at, like, I wanted McGregor to keep going in boxing. Because I think if he wins a UFC and a boxing belt, I think that'll be good for him. But I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I mean, you're going to have people that maybe, like, because they're going to be like, I got better hands than McGregor and try to go into boxing. But I don't know. Well, even when you remember before, but it was UFC. You remember about Tony and Couture, right?
Oh yeah. Man, at that point, James Tony was an emotional wreck. You remember that fight? I can't remember what year it was, and you're gonna know what I'm talking about. It was a boxing match where he went out in the parking lot and pulled down his trunks and just started getting undressed in the parking lot. You remember that? James Tony. Man, you were going to I swear, I can't be imagining this. I don't think I am. But that let me know, man, James Toney, something is wrong with that.
Well, they say he actually has, like, CTE and everything now.
Oh, man.
But then the thing about him, I never knew. They said he used to pop for steroids and stuff. I'm like, he was on steroids?
Yeah, because he was kind of chunky.
Though, later in his career, but he didn't look like he was on steroids because he was always kind of, like, pudgy and stuff.
Yeah, he was always kind of a chunky dude, for sure.
But yeah, I was talking about John Jones, man. That really, hurt my heart, man, because I was, rooting for him. But I just see, fool me once, shame on me. I'm kind of done with him because I'm like, man, this dude can't get right. Now I think he's going to be spending for, 4 years. Yeah.
It's sad because John Jones, he was like if you were building a fighter or like a player in another sports game, had the speed, had the height, had the reach, had power, had the whole skill set, the whole arsenal. And it was like, damn, man, John Jones probably could have defended the belt like 5 or 6 more times. Yeah. Until cocaine and, PEDs caught up with him. It really is sad, man, because I think, if he was still going at the rate, if he would have beat, oh gosh, who did he just fight? I don't know why I'm drawing a blank. Cormier. Yeah, if he would have beaten Cormier straight up, this happens. You see, he calls out Brock Lesnar. That let me know, man, you are already looking to make greater money than what UFC is able to pay you. And he already knew the McGregor and Mayweather fight was going on. He wanted the circus money. And I thought, boy, if John Jones was legit and wasn't doing drugs, John Jones could step in and fight somebody and build on that hype, because who's the other biggest star besides McGregor in MMA? It's John Jones.
Yeah, John Jones.
Well, it was John Jones. And when I say biggest, to be able to walk in and make the kind of money that McGregor made in this boxing match, I don't think anyone else in UFC, and you're going to have a hard time finding someone to the level of Floyd.
I'm saying, who got boxing licenses? The Diaz brothers.
Okay, yeah, they're on my.
I think Nick is like, he the one that got the license, but I think both of them do now. But I think Nick got it first.
They're on my list of guys who could fight. Guys I would want to watch in a boxing match. And they won't make the kind of money Floyd and Conor made, but if a UFC guy can go in and make 10 or 15 mil, and a full-time boxing guy like a Canelo or somebody like that, or a Triple G go in and make 30 mil, man, that's easy money for a boxing guy.
I always wondered too. I was wondering why, like, because Kimbo Slice went into boxing, but it didn't take off for him. So I always wonder why it didn't work for him, because he had the, he has the circus attraction and everything, but it didn't work for him.
I think for Kimbo, Kimbo was one of those. Kimbo looked like he looked like something, like a creature you would create. Like, you remember that? Man, remember on Street Fighter 2, that little green guy in Brazil? Yeah. He was built like that dude, man, just like top heavy. He didn't have any feet. You never saw that dude put any showcase any footwork. He was just, I'm just gonna like swing my arms at you, and if I connect, you'll go to sleep. And that's not that doesn't translate to boxing. Hell, it didn't really translate to MMA. So, but I think style wise, I think the Diaz brothers, with as awkward as they are with their, the angles they throw punches and everything, and both of them are pretty long. Mm-hmm. I think those dudes could box. I think somebody like Rumble Johnson, Alexander Gustafsson, one of those guys could easily go fight heavyweight, either fight, Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua, maybe, God, who's the other dude? David Hay, somebody like that. Then you got McGregor can, they both, Canelo and McGregor both fight at 155 in their respective sports. So I think those dudes could fight. Junior Dos Santos.
I don't see McGregor beating Canelo in no boxing either.
Oh, I don't see him beating him. I don't see him beating him. But if people are going to be, Floyd worked with Conor and said, you know what, I'm going to help you make. I'm going to stretch this fight out 10 rounds. And everyone's going to be gassed and think, oh, man, there's something to Conor McGregor. He's never even had a professional fight, and he went 10 rounds.
Yeah, I'm here. Left that door open for him.
Yeah.
But that's what I said. So, my whole thing was the reason why they stopped the fight like that, because if you knock him out, you can't make no more money. Yeah, so you got to stop it, so then you can be like, oh, they shouldn't have stopped the fight. No, I said, hey, man, it was so smooth how they did it.
It's just like the end of the Great White Hype when he knocks out the Irish Terry Conklin. The guy, the challenger who's been trying to get a fight, comes in the ring and they start going at it. And you hear Samuel L. Jackson, the Reverend Fred Sultan, say, guys, don't give away what we can sell. Now, it's a little bit different scenario, but that's basically it. Guys, we can sell more of this. We can't have them hit the ground. Don't give away what we can sell. And Floyd basically is paying it forward in boxing. All the guys who are, the up and coming guys, the next wave of boxing superstars, the next wave of really the title holders in MMA, he did everyone else a favor and paid it forward by not dropping him, and so did the rest of boxing, the referee, the promoters. I mean, this was a sparring match, man, and I think it moves. I don't think it moves the needle for guys in UFC. For MMA guys to step into boxing, I don't think it really moves the needle in the conversation of what's the more difficult sport or what's the better sport. UFC fans are always going to have the trump card of no boxing guy has ever walked into UFC, in his first match and really done anything. Conor's got a little bit more on it now. Well, I went 10 rounds with Floyd Mayweather. But I don't think it does much to move the needle with UFC in terms of their star power and their ability to generate money just in their own UFC matches. Because guys are still not getting paid.
Yeah, I think really UFC, the thing that happened in UFC, like I remember when the Ultimate Fighter first came out, and they had all those fighters, and they basically just like wrestling, they booked them up. So now it's like I don't know what happened with that, but they don't know how really they need to take the storytelling from wrestling, tell the story, build up the wrestlers, have that fan where you really know the wrestler to feel like you know them. But it's kind of so many wrestlers, so many new people. You don't have that in UFC no more.
Yeah, I think UFC has become kind of bloated. There are so many boxers out there, but we don't really care who all of them are. UFC, you got it on Fox now. You got it on FS1.
They got their own little Netflix channel now. Their own demand channel.
Yeah, and it's you're kind of inundated with it. When we were growing up with boxing, we had you remember Friday Night Fights?
Yeah, ESPN.
On ESPN. And then you had
the USA boxing too, Thursday night fights.
Oh yeah.
Tuesday night fights, I think.
But it was basic. I mean, we weren't inundated with a whole bunch of fighters that we didn't know. You watch when UFC has a major an event. You have the prelims, which can get pretty long, and then you have the fights that are strictly on the website. And it's just
the prelim be 2 hours now. You be like, God
damn.
Yeah,
it's like watching back-to-back WCW Nitro.
Yeah,
the 3-hour shows back in the day. But I think could someone like McGregor take 8 to 10 months to train for boxing and have enough tools? Or I should say, someone like Floyd or another boxer take 8 to 10 months to train for MMA and have enough tools in the bag to go more than a couple. I'm not saying win. I'm not, because I don't think any rational person thought McGregor could win that boxing match. But could a boxer do just like McGregor, learn a crash course in how to defend takedowns, how to grapple a little bit, and last more than a few rounds before getting choked out? Do you think a boxer could do it?
Fighting McGregor or fighting whoever?
Well, just any boxer fighting anybody in UFC, and it would have to be a star, not like a current title holder, but maybe someone like a Dominic Cruz, a former title holder who's still fighting at a high level.
Yeah. Oh, see it, man, because like you said, that mixed martial art, it's an art. So most of them been doing that since they was a kid. Just like with the boxing, that's like a craft you've been doing. So I look at it just like you asking somebody from basketball to be somebody in football, asking somebody from football to be somebody in basketball. It's like that's what they've been training for all their life. So it's too hard to you even seen McGregor with his reflexes, how he was throwing hammer fists and shit. He trying to grab him and throw him down. So I'm saying you got all that shit because you've been doing that shit so long. That's the way you really learn. You practice so much where it's your reflexes. So you can't. 8 months ain't enough to beat the UFC guys, and that's all they've been doing since they were little kids. Shit. I mean, you got some people see, that's the thing. You got Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar ain't really no UFC fighter. He just a big badass dude. So you got people like him that can.
Well, if you got a big badass dude who is not a UFC fighter, but he went in, and say what you want about the heavyweight division at the time, but a badass, just a big behemoth of a dude who hits hard and can smother you. This dude comes in and wins the belt, defends the belt. If Brock Lesnar can come from a wrestling ring and do that, why can't a boxer? And it'd have to be a special guy. It'd have to be an elite athlete. It couldn't just be someone like Floyd who's a good boxer and has good feet and is defensive. It has to be a world a world caliber athlete.
I would say, because you remember Lesnar, he had the amateur background though. He was like he won championships in college for wrestling.
Well, yeah,
so
for
he
wrestling.
Had that too. It wasn't like he was just a pro wrestler.
Right.
So he had some.
But a lot of wrestlers have professional wrestlers have some like amateur wrestling background, just like a lot of MMA guys do. But you have a lot of MMA guys who are rooted in things like Muay Thai or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and that leads me to think, okay, so let's say you couldn't find someone from boxing to come do a UFC match, a high profile match. But instead of having like catch weights, why don't you have a catch style like Muay Thai? Would it be easier for a boxer to take 8 to 10 months to learn how to clinch, to learn how to fight, out of the clinch?
Muay Thai is easier. I think a lot of boxers do, like they go from kickboxing to boxing. But I think that ground and that submission game change it up. But if you standing up, that's easier for them.
Yeah, problem is Americans, we don't watch Muay Thai. Like I'll catch a Muay Thai fight on the internet.
You don't know watch that Glory kickboxing?
Okay, I used to, man. I used to love watching all that
K1
stuff from Japan.
Day.
K1, Pride, all that, dude.
Big Bob Sapo, sorry ass. I can't stand it. That's a sorry motherfucker right there, boy. Sorry, dude.
Oh, I know, man. It makes I can't help but think, man. What did you just do? Nothing but lift weights, Bob Sapp?
They showed him though. They said like usually like he's known for like basically he's throwing the fight because he already know he got paid, so he don't be want to take damage. So he'll just basically you hit him, he'll fall. Okay, man, look how big that dude is, man. I always go back and watch his fights. I'll be like, that's crazy how he used to fight.
Man, Bob Sapp could have been what Brock Lesnar was when he came to UFC. If Bob Sapp was a badass like Brock Lesnar, just had that killer instinct, he could have made a lot more money than he did. But anyway, I think if you had a catch style fight where, these guys went and did Muay Thai, I think that might draw some interest because you have two guys stepping out of UFC and stepping out of boxing to fight in a new discipline. Right. Even if the MMA guys, the MMA guy in the fight has a little bit of experience using Muay Thai elements in UFC, to restrict him to just strictly Muay Thai, I think that would be enough that would be novel enough for people to want to tune in, not to the tune of $300 million, right, but to be able to go and make 15, 20 mil, or hell, even 10 mil. What guys in the UFC are making 10 mil a fight?
How much do they make a fight?
Well, see, that's the thing. UFC, you'll have what they like base salaries that they report to the gaming commissions for each state that they have an event in. But then you have like unreported money. So you'll have like if you get any bonuses, like fight of the night, knockout of the night, submission of the night.
It's not no mill, huh? It ain't that much. Huh?
Oh no. The big fights will get a few $1 million. But you're not getting 10, 15, $20 million a fight in UFC.
No, I'm saying, so McGregor probably made as much in that boxing match, like how much he making a whole since he been doing it.
Oh, dude, McGregor, man, I bet McGregor's old lady is like, yo.
I came up.
Yeah, I came. And see, they were doing well. I don't know what kind of endorsement money Floyd, or not Floyd, but Conor gets. But, these guys get a little bit of endorsement money. But at the same time, the money you make, you got to pay the guys who are training you, whatever gym you're working out at.
Right.
I don't know what kind of health plan the UFC has. Because, these guys get hurt all the time.
So
that's
they gotta have some insurance.
Oh, my God. That's another thing I can't stand about UFC is guys get hurt all the time. So many matches, someone's got to pull out because they broke a rib. Someone's got to pull out because of a knee injury. And it's just like, so many pay-per-views get wrecked, or hell, or even worse, John Jones doing cocaine and crashing his car. UFC's got a lot of problems, and I think I'll wrap it up by saying I think more of these fights could help UFC fighters make a little bit more money. I don't know if it helps the sport of MMA in its entirety, but the big stars like your Demetrius Johnson. Like TJ Dillashaw, who took the strap from Dominic Cruz? What was his name? Oh man, man, name is on the tip of my tongue, but I can't remember. Guys like John Jones, guys like Rumble Johnson, guys who are known for being at least like heavy punchers and guys who've had the belt before, were challenged for the belt. I think they could go and make a little bit of money in a catch fight or even a boxing match, but I don't think it moves the needle for MMA and how proud MMA fans are that no one from boxing could come and win an MMA match.
All right, so let's go to the next sport that has problems, football. So tell you the truth about Kaepernick, man, I'm kind of my whole thing with Kaepernick now is like it's a deflection because people are worried about. They're making that an issue when that's not really the problem. Like, he's doing that because of social injustice, but now people are making that kneeling situation. And even now you see, like, Chris Long kneeling with him, the whole team kneeling with him. So I'm like, okay, what if, like, every Sunday all the NFL players kneel? What does that do? They don't do shit. So that's what I'm saying. Now it's just turning into, like, it's kind of stupid now.
Now, are you saying, like, if everyone kneeled, it doesn't do anything to cure social injustice? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, do you think people, like, all that shit, like, that shit that just happened in Charlottesville or whatever, you think if they see that kneeling, that's going to stop racism? That's not going to, like, what, you know what I'm saying? I don't know what, I'm trying to figure out, okay, what was he trying to do, and like what are they trying to do with this now? Because I'm figuring like now it's just getting out of hand, and it's like a deflection. Like every time you watch football, that's Jim Brown's like. Then you got all these people speaking on all these coons. Yeah. I'm just gonna call it how it is, but Jim Brown, Vic, Lewis. You got all these people speaking on it. All these people like McCoy came out. All these people now speaking on it. So now it's to me it's just a distraction. It's not even.
It was a distraction from day one. I mean, the validity of his protest, I've been with it since the first time he did it. But it's a distraction because you're doing it at work. And I don't think anyone would disagree that it is a distraction. People disagree over whether or not the people who are offended, whether they should be offended or not, or whether it's fair for them to be offended, considering what Kaepernick's message is. It's a nonviolent protest. It's simple. I'm taking a knee. I'm not running out there, like putting dressing up in like a Muslim garb, with the, he's not going out there and like spreading like pro-radical Islamic views or anything like that. He's talking about something in America, something about Americans. So the validity of it is there, and I get it. But you're right. It's to the point now where it's an everyday discussion because players feel compelled to support Kaepernick, and he should be in the league. There are some terrible quarterbacks in the NFL. Colin Kaepernick is a better quarterback than half the dudes who are on rosters now. Mm-hmm. And there are other factors in that.
But that's what I'm saying, too. He's better than them, but, like, if you're looking at the whole package, you got some, like, he might be, like, they were showing the man raise. So you got him, he like 76. You got other quarterbacks like 74, 73. So they 73, but they ain't got nothing else going on. And he got all this other shit. Who you going to pick? You just get the 73 one and keep calling it a day.
If he were, and I'm just using, like, Tom Brady as an example because, he's won Super Bowls. Or even like a Ben Roethlisberger. Those guys are white, but if he had won a Super Bowl and had a longer track record of success, because he had those 2 or 3 years where it's like, all right, man, this dude might be really, really good. He took a team to a Super Bowl, but he didn't have that resume where it's like, yo, we can't afford not to sign dude.
Right.
But then I look at the skill set, I look at the numbers, and I'm like, all these teams with terrible offensive lines. This dude can go get you 700 yards on the ground.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, too. So then you got to think about, okay, how many teams are going to change their offense for him to fit? Because you basically have to kind of cater your offense to make it work for him. Because he's not like a drop-back quarterback and all that. He's a running quarterback. So just like when it was Harbaugh, he had to cater that offense and make that offense work for him. So if you don't want to do that.
I will say he didn't have to change the offense that much. There were still a lot of the same concepts that they ran with Alex Smith. Alex Smith is, they get Alex Smith on the bootleg a good bit. Colin Kaepernick, good bootleg quarterback. The only thing that really changes is some of the play action that comes off of like those zone read option plays and all that, and how many runs you call out of that. You can get really creative with that, but that's as simple as just like so many guys run that stuff in college that, you know, when you introduce it into a pro playbook, it's like, oh yeah, I remember that. So I don't think that would be as big of an issue. If you're breaking in a lot of young receivers and a lot of young backs, and maybe, you know, if you just have a young offense in general, it can hold you back in some of the development in your base offense with young players. But if you have, man, for a backup, if you can't put together 15, 20 plays, you know, for Colin Kaepernick, man, you guys get paid millions of dollars. That shouldn't be that hard.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Should. I mean, but like, it's no doubt to me, he should at least be a backup somewhere for sure.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, hands down. I do think it was a mistake for him to opt out of his contract with the 49ers. He should have just let them cut him or re-upped on his contract and got that money.
I know.
Especially since they brought in
well, to
Shanahan.
me, I'm looking at it like, man, if he opt out, to me, I'm looking at it like he's smart enough to know what he's doing. So he knew it was a slight chance he wouldn't get signed again. So to me, he opted out because he didn't want to play football no more. Because I'm saying,
man, that's an interesting theory,
like,
man.
Come on, man, you pretty sure like you doing all that shit, all that heat you got on you, think somebody gonna sign you, like, and then now you never see him training. You see him doing all the activist stuff. So I don't think he's even trying to get back in the league. I think he's chilling somewhere, man. He's doing his activist thing. Because just like Jim Brown, like. I don't think he was wrong with what he said. He said you got to pick one. You're gonna be a football player. You're gonna be an activist. You can't like you said. I kind of feel. I mean, I understand it when you were saying like he's at work, you know. But then at the same time, I do feel like okay, you're a black person for you or whatever your job is. So
right.
You should be able to speak up on issues. You shouldn't have to be quiet and not say shit if that's how you feel.
My buddy Jason, my DJ in New Orleans, brought up an interesting point. You know, Facebook, you know, you can get into some quality discussions on Facebook. You can get into some terrible discussions on Facebook. But he brought up an interesting point. A buddy of mine said, you know, he's doing this at work. If I did this at work, I would be reprimanded. And, you know, my buddy brought up the point that, you know, philanthropy and some of the product placement in the NFL.
They were saying that's the problem, though, because first off, when do they play national anthem at your job?
Yeah. That's the ultimate trump card. Like, but I think the argument was whether I took a knee during the national anthem at my job, or if I was on like my work social media account. You know, I'm in communications and marketing and PR, so you know I'm always on social media. That would be like me going on social media and being very active or being very vocal about racial injustice and however I wanted to do it on social media. That would be like me doing it from my work account. He crossed that line, and it worked. People are still talking about it. But my buddy said, you know, yeah, he did this at work. But all of the philanthropy that comes with the NFL and certain teams that you have to participate in, what if you don't agree with a certain charity? What if you don't agree with the United Way? United Way has a checkered history of like people embezzling money, you know, the percentage of donations that actually end up at the agencies that they have under their umbrella in each city, each town, whatever. You know, what if someone said, I'm sorry, I don't support the United Way, so I won't, you know, don't show me on the sideline when you have your little United Way 15-second thing, or I don't want to show up to, you know, whatever United Way event is in town. I don't care if the kids are sick. I'm not showing up for that because I don't believe in the people. What if there was just someone who ran one of these charities who, you know, had a checkered background or maybe had said something racist or, you know, was mean to people in public, and the player was like, no, man, I've heard about that dude. That dude's a real a-hole. I'm not going to support this charity, even though the NFL is a partner with them or the team is a partner. So much of that stuff is built in that they have to do, yet Colin Kaepernick wants to use his NFL platform during a game to protest racial injustice in America, yet he is expected to go endorse products that the team in the NFL endorse because he's a member of the team. Like, to me, that's that's probably the best counterpoint I've heard to the he's doing it at work argument.
Now, the main thing I'm just saying with Colin Kaepernick, I just feel like now, see, we talking about him, and we're not talking about really the racial issue. So we had all this energy, and we was actually talking about race relations, and what can we do to fix it. Then it's like, dang, mission accomplished, but now it's just like, man, this shit is just distraction, bro. It's like, I ain't got time for that shit. But are you going to watch the games, or are you going to protest? Because we know we're supposed to be protesting.
Yeah, according to social media,
Black Twitter, Black Facebook.
According to Black social media, we're supposed to boycott the NFL, and that's like watching games, buying gear. I don't know if that includes playing Madden, fantasy football, the whole nine. The whole nine. People want to totally boycott the NFL, and I'm kind of like, man. That's NFL football, man. It'd be one thing if if I heard all the owners on videotape saying the N-word at a party, then I think, yeah, you know what? I think I want to boycott the NFL. But if you boycott watching NFL, that's a lot of black dudes who might start losing money. So you can't boycott the NFL. I mean, how many people do you think are seriously not going to watch an NFL game this year? If you meet someone who says, I'm not watching a single NFL game this year, not because I might be deployed to Afghanistan.
Watch football, they watch soccer.
Yeah. I mean, come on, man. If you're American, I want to know what American is really going to do that, because I'll call BS on any American who's really, and I have a lot of friends from high school, a lot of friends from college who've been sharing all that boycott the NFL stuff, and I just bite my tongue. Like, you ain't gonna do that shit, man. You just caught up in the moment.
But I'm saying the thing is too, though, okay, when you had that stuff going on with that Clippers owner, wasn't nobody talking about boycotting the NBA? When you had that shit back in the day with the Reds owner.
Well, that woman.
Even with the Red Sox, you don't hear nobody talking about boycott the Major League Baseball. Nobody talking about boycott basketball. So it's like, why are you picking which sport? Like, you know what I'm saying? You picking which sport you want to boycott when it's injustice in all the sports.
It's just a sign of the times, man. It has been trending this way regardless of sport. If you think about Donald Sterling, the owner of the Clippers, like you mentioned, man, the reason that dude was forced to sell was because of all the pressure on social media, the pressure of the fans. That expedited him being removed from the league. So you had that, and then you remember when Trayvon Martin got shot. LeBron and them did the hoodies or whatever. You had the guys, I think it was some players on the Rams that did the stop, like hands up or whatever. So you've had it trending this direction for a while. You know, the Donald Sterling thing was like, 4 or 5 years ago now, if I'm not mistaken.
Even with that, I was looking at that like, when that video came out, it should have been the players like, look, man, we ain't playing for this dude till he out. we all like, fuck it. What's the next game? We ain't playing. It took the outside. They was still dribbling and shooting like nothing.
Well, and I mean that was something that was tied directly to a team. You haven't had like an NFL, like let's say Jerry Jones got caught saying something like that, and you looking at Dak Prescott like, yo, man, you still gonna play for this dude? You heard what that dude said? That would be a different. I think that'd be a much different scenario than what's going on now. You're taking like a social justice, like current social justice issues, and it's specific. Colin Kaepernick was very specific about police brutality, profiling, and the police excessive like use of force with black people. He was very specific in that injustice. Now he's mentioned other things, but that was the root of it. And he brought that to the game and made a statement. Donald Sterling, that dude was directly attached to the game. He owned a team. So, I mean, it's different scenarios. But
like,
I think
don't want all these niggas in my game. Like, why you bring all these niggas in my game? Like, what?
Told his wife, got mad. Like, why?
Like, what the fuck? Your whole team black. He talking about, quit bringing them niggas to my game. And then he talking about Magic on top of that. Like,
yeah.
So, it's like, you calling Magic a nigga? Shit, everybody
Yeah, for real. But yeah, man. So I think social media, as quickly as public sentiment can grow, either positively or negatively, I think that's the biggest factor between why things move so quick and why things stay in the news,
Yeah.
even when there's no news. Even when there's no news.
That's my thing too, man. Even with like all this the race stuff and like the stuff they show, I feel like it's always been going on. It's not like nothing new, but it seems like now we have social media, we have video, we have cameras, so we see it quicker.
Mm-hmm.
And in the media, they're always going to put anything bad in front of you to try to. To me, they're like stirring the pot, making it worse than it is. Like they're always going to dramatize stuff. So I feel like it's not as bad. I don't know, because I just know with me, like I never had a cop mistreat me. I never had any race issues, and we came from Mississippi, so I never.
Yeah.
I mean, I probably like now when I think about it, it's like, damn, that was fucked up. But I never had nobody just come up to me and say, "You can't sit here, boy," or no shit like that. So it's like I still haven't encountered all this this racism people talk about.
Well, we never heard anything crazy in high school because, I mean, our high school, what was it, like 60-40 black to white? Yeah. Now, it's crazy. Columbus High is like 95% black. It's kind of saddening to see all the white people just kind of pieced out. You know, like, sorry, Columbus.
They went
we're
like
going
New Hope or what?
Yeah, New Hope, Caledonia, some, go to Heritage and like Victory, the little private schools in the area. But in high school, you never heard that kind of stuff, man, because there were too many black people around. So when I got to college at Mississippi State, looking white, being black but looking white, white people never know I'm black. It's always the black people that are like, hey man, are you mixed with something? Like black people just know. White people don't know. So I would be at parties with nothing but white people, and I would hear some of the foulest stuff, man. Like, I'm hearing the N-word. I'm hearing, like just crazy stuff, man. And it would be like totally unprovoked. It's not like a black guy, would drive by like in a box Chevy, like, bumping music and just like mean mugging people.
Like they watch your friends and shit.
yeah. They just sitting there listening to the freaking Dave Matthews Band, and then just someone thinks of something that pissed him off the other day, and I'm just standing there stunned, like, holy shit, people still think and talk like that. And it was, it didn't happen all the time in college. You'd really have to get around the real redneck students, but it happened enough that I was really really discouraged about living in the South. I really wanted to move.
How many times do you think it happened?
Man, I would say it happened more than 30 times in my I did a full 4. I did 5 years of college and 4 at state. I'd say it happened at least 30 times, and I kind of got.
I guess you kind of lucky though, because since you biracial, that's why. But if you weren't biracial, you would never know.
I tell people all the time I have the most unique perspective on race relations that anyone will have, because I've been called the N-word. I've been called a honky. When I was in 3rd grade, man, Georgetown, South Carolina, the town I was born in, right down the road from Myrtle Beach. We had come back from the Philippines. My dad was in the Air Force, and we lived in South Carolina for a few months. This is back when they didn't have enough base housing, so you would have to be on the waiting list for base housing. So my dad went to our next base in New Mexico, and we followed a few months later. But we went to school, me and my sister, there in Georgetown. The school I went to, I was the only white kid. I was black, but I was the only white-looking kid, and I was such a novelty that everyone, they would just stare at me. And at one point, like I wasn't fitting in because I was the white boy. But then they gave me a nickname, and you know what that nickname was?
What?
It was honky. and I didn't know what that word meant. I mean, this is 1990, so I was 8. So I thought they'd given me a nickname, and they had started kind of open up, and like, on the playground and stuff, they picked me to play kickball and stuff. So I thought, cool, I got a nickname, I'm making friends, cool. Well, my grandma, who's Italian, my granddad's black from South Carolina. My grandma and my granddad were separated. She comes down from D.C. to spend a couple weeks. She hadn't seen us in a few years because we've been in the Philippines. So I didn't know this, but she comes to meet me where the bus is dropping me off at the end of Granddad's Road. And I see her and I get excited like, oh man, it's Grandma, because I know Grandma done brought gifts. I know Grandma about to spend that money on us, so I'm excited. I get off the bus and I turn around. Everybody puts the windows down and all the kids on the bus say, "Bye, honky," in front of my white grandma. And my grandma, you know, my grandma, it broke her heart because she saw me and I waved back like, "All right, y'all, see y'all tomorrow." I had no idea. But it also hurt my grandma because, you know, my grandma and granddad, they met in the 50s, you know, and a lot of my granddad's sisters, you know, and rightfully so, they were kind of skeptical of grandma, you know, why, you know, back then black people were just as ill to interracial dating as white people were, not to the "I'ma kill you" level. But, you know, culturally, it was like, nah, man, you know, you're going to catch some heat if you bring a white woman home, you know, in the South like that. That's just how it was. So she immediately thought back to that, how hard it was for her to get accepted by some of Granddad's family. And then just being in an interracial relationship, even in New York, you know, it wasn't like how it was in South Carolina, but you still caught a little flack for it, man. People would still judge you, you know.
So your grandparents was interracial and your parents?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you know, my mom being a product of an interracial marriage, of course, you know, any relationship she would be in would be an interracial. But yeah, man. So I have a unique perspective, and being a fly on the wall in college, I mean, it was interesting, man. It was discouraging. It was interesting. It was motivating. It made me kind of cling to my black culture a little bit more. But then I realized, you know, I only dated white women. You know, I've always, you know, dated white women, and it's hard to get white women when everyone thinks you're the wigger. You know, that's how, you know, when I would wear my Sean John T-shirt and my denims and my Tims, I was the wigger to white people. That's who I was, you know. And I was like, damn, I don't want that label, you know. So I kind of had to switch it up a little bit and not be so like urban in my dress and my speech and all that. And, you know, college was a really interesting time to really be the mixed kid. And one thing I discovered was that, yeah, racism is very much still alive.
So why do you like white girls?
Man, I don't know if it's because I look white and I just, maybe there's something, I don't know, like, I never knew why I only.
So you ever dated a black girl or no?
No, I've never like had a relationship with a black girl, but you know, I've smashed a few, you know. But I've smashed way more white women and a couple of Latin women. But yeah, I don't know what it is, man. You know, my little brother, he likes all kind of women. My little brother, he doesn't care. Me, I'm a little bit more selective. You know, I got the body type I like, you know, kind of got to be thick, you know, busty, you know, that's always been like my thing. But yeah, man, I don't know. I have no idea why. My parents joke about it too, man. They'll, you know, they never like took it personal that I never dated black women.
So who's your first crush? Was it a white woman? Like your first like celebrity crush? 'Cause I think mine was like Rose Perez, and ever since then I've been like Latino. That's what I'm saying. So who's your first celebrity crush?
You must have seen Rosie Perez and Do the Right Thing, yeah, or in White Men Can't Jump. Yeah. Man, celebrity crush. Shit, man, that's a good question. Trying to think back in the 80s, surely it was somebody on TV. Trying to think about what shows were hot. Man, I guess we're getting old. I can't even. Man, you know, honestly, I'd have to say it's either Janet Jackson or, oh, I got it. Okay, you remember that movie, The Goonies?
Mm-hmm.
All right, man. Like, she had red hair. Gosh, what was her name? She was in the car with the preppy dudes when old boy was on the bicycle.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, she was the redhead girl who really liked Josh Brolin. Carrie Green is her name. So I think between Carrie Green, Janet Jackson, and you remember Revenge of the Nerds too?
Uh-huh.
When they went to like Fort Lauderdale and shit. That was the best Revenge of the Nerds. The first one was kind of lame. The second one, when they go on the road trip, is the best one. But the girl who worked at the hotel, Courtney Thorne Smith, She was later in it was either 90210 or Melrose Place, but she was smoking hot in that movie. So like in the 80s, those were the on TV people that I was like, yo, that's who I want right there. So a good little mix.
I say, did you hear about? I didn't even know about this till today. You heard about Logic's story?
Oh yeah, the rapper.
Yeah, you know he's biracial. He's actually biracial. Mom is white, dad is black, but his mom was racist. So his mom used to grow up like mom called him a nigga and all that shit. I'm like, damn.
Yeah, he rapped about it on the album.
Yeah, I know. That was my boy.
There are a few tracks on that new, and I say new, but relatively new Logic album. There are a few tracks where I'm like, okay, man, this shit, it's kind of going. But a lot of times, man, like with other conscious rappers, it just gets old. Like Logic, I know you're mixed. I know in a lot of, and maybe because a lot of what he dealt with as a mixed guy and, kind of having a torn identity, and how you should conform to, one culture's, the constructs of a particular culture. Maybe because a lot of that resonates with me, I kind of get sick of hearing it. When I rap, I'll make brief references to things like that, but I don't want to bore people with like, yo, man, I came up hard. It's hard being interracial. I don't know whether to be black or white. My mom. And I'm just like, man, Logic, man, I get it, bro. I get it. He's basically like he's an annoying J. Cole. I can tolerate J. Cole. I don't like listening to J. Cole, but if someone's playing J. Cole, I can tolerate J. Cole. I can only tolerate like 1.5 Logic songs, and then I have to ask someone to please turn that off.
And then who's your top 5 right now?
Man, top 5 rappers
right now. In this
I think last time we talked, I said I don't really listen to much rap these days because a lot of it is just really shitty. But if I had to pick a top 5,
so let's go. Would you listen to R&B or what?
Man, I listen to a lot of 80s music. I listen to electronic music. I listen to you'll probably laugh at this, but I listen to a lot of like Celtic guitar. It's like soothing music, man. I listen to a lot of rock music. I mean, but my top 5 isn't going to be like the hottest guys, in mainstream now. No. I'm listening to guys' albums, from 2011, 2012, cool. I still like Doom, even though Doom is probably the laziest rapper ever, but can somehow get away with it. Love Doom, A$AP Rock, man, that the Impossible Kid album came out like end of last year, but it is an absolute masterpiece. A$AP Rock does all of his own production, and if he doesn't do all of his own production, it's maybe a song or two that he doesn't produce on all of his albums. Really, really complicated rhyme structure. I'd call it misdirection rap. Like, you can have double meanings for a lot of things in his songs and struggle to try and figure out, like, all right, what exactly does he mean by this? So he's one of those rappers that you're kind of hooked because, one, the beats are great and his flow and his voice are great, but man, you got to go back and listen and you just unearth different, little pieces. So I love A$AP Rock, and he actually did his first soundtrack. It's a movie called Bushwick with, what was a big rapper who was in, or not big rapper, a big wrestler guy who was in Guardians of the Galaxy, Batista.
Oh, okay.
It's a new action movie with Batista. It's like, it's kind of like a dystopian future kind of movie where, America starts to crumble. Texas like secedes from the Union. It's martial law in New York, and it's crazy. But he did the soundtrack to that movie, and I think that's going to come out later this year. But so A$AP Rock, Doom, I'll always love T.I. T.I. is kind of in that weird limbo now between being like a rap great and still being relevant.
To me, he's like, I don't know, man. He just be like, I don't know. He's like, I guess he even talked about it though, but he's like, one minute he's like Nino Brown, and the next minute he's like Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
And then the next minute he's like R. Kelly. So it's like, shit. Like, dude, you got a lot of fucking faces going on, bro. Like, shit.
There are the last couple albums, man, you hear a couple songs and you're like, all right, like you hear G Season and then you're like, great. And then you hear like, man, we gonna really stretch out 2, maybe 3 songs for the ladies right now, T.I. Like, and then T.I. will get on this conscious like wave, for like multiple songs or even like an EP, and it's just like, oh, you wanna support that and you wanna encourage that, because I hate when
you gotta have the brand recognition, like what people know you for trap music and 20 clothes and shit, rubber band man, shit, freak.
That's the thing with Tip, man. I've always looked at, if there was gonna be a candidate from mainstream, and I know gangster rap is kind of a worn out term, but from trap music, if there was going to be a guy who could cross over and make other kinds of rap music, and have successful collaborations with people you would never expect, I always thought it would be T.I. I mean, I guess maybe he's just run his course and he's been out too long.
I think, man, really, that's all I like. I mean, I like all rap, but I really like the gangster rap the most. But with T.I., like, far as trap music, I think first Jeezy kind of took it to the next level. But then you got fucking, like, now it's Gucci Man and then 2 Chainz. But then you got all these new cats like Kodak Black and I don't even know all them other dudes. But all them Young Dolph.
Yeah.
All them dudes. So they kind of just, that's what the kids on now. They ain't listening to T.I. Like, we on T.I., but shit, how old we is?
Yeah.
Like, the kids listen to the Young Dolph and I don't even know them, all them little niggas' names. I don't Young Dolph and, what the other one I said, Black Kodak. That's the only one I know. I don't know all of them, but.
I don't even know how
Gucci is the one, though. I like Gucci, man. 2 Chainz, shit.
Man, Gucci does not rap good enough for me to like actually sit down and listen to him. He has novelty songs. Like, of course, everyone loved the Wasted song.
But it's that last CD he came out with?
Man, I give everything one listen. And Gucci, to me, I just can't. I don't ever go back to a Gucci album and enjoy it. I never feel compelled to go back and listen to any Gucci
you like the
songs.
beats, right?
Man, I love all. I mean, that's part of the reason why I give it a listen. Yeah, that's part of the reason I give it a listen, because, like, well, at least I know it's going to sound like Atlanta, and I love Atlanta production. It's part of the reason I love T.I. But I think if you're going to put T.I., I think 2 Chainz is a lot like T.I. because 2 Chainz can actually put some great lines together.
Yeah.
And he's, I always looked at 2 Chainz as kind of being like the Cameron of the South.
Huh. That's a good point.
He's going to say some weird things, but it's going to sound so fucking cool.
Yeah.
And so he's a hood dude that's kind of witty. And that was always, T.I. always had that voice and just that voice and that swag.
Well, he get me with his vocabulary. I'll be like, damn, he made me have to look up words listening to him. I give him that.
T.I. doesn't always use those words correctly, and sometimes he just puts a lot of, especially when it's like an interlude or a little, 30 seconds before a song where he gets on his little soapbox, and I'm like, T.I., those words do not go together. But A for effort, A for you putting the kids are going to Google, if the kids are listening, But yeah, T.I., A$AP Rock, Doom. I was not a fan of the Jay-Z, the 444 album. I thought that shit was contrived. I thought it was overrated.
I just thought that was I say the same thing. I'm like, if y'all like that shit, why y'all like, Nas been rapping like that. So that's my whole thing. I'm like, that is nothing new. If you like that, how they acting like that's something new when Nas been rapping like that since Godson. Nas always been trying to enlighten people, but then when Nas was doing it, wasn't cool. But now Jay's doing it, it's like, wow, and people going crazy. I'm like, come on, y'all.
I mean, J. Cole does the same thing, and people eat it up. Like, yeah. J. Cole's the real rapper. And I'm like, nah, man, J. Cole's doing what other people do. He's just a new real rapper. And that dude can rap. I'll give it to J. Cole. He can rap. I just get tired of listening to him, just like I got tired of listening to 444. The production I thought was okay. But if people really listen to Jay-Z, he's been rapping about these things for a long time. He just hadn't done it all on one album.
Right.
And hadn't pushed it as the grown, mature
just like
album.
that one album, that Magna Carta one, he did the same thing. That CD, that song, this album was whack.
Yeah, oh yeah, dude. Man,
even that Blueprint 3 was the same, and that shit was whack.
The Blueprint 3 had just, to me, there were only a couple of good songs on that album.
Just
I think his last, on to the next one.
Yeah, in New York was on there, right? New York State.
I think so. Yeah, New York State of Mind. Yeah, that was on there too. But I think his last really good album was the American Gangster soundtrack.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's like who Jay-Z, great business sense, but that dude has not tried as a rapper in a long, and you can hear it on 444. Like, he just sounds so subdued and just so, man, let's just go. I wouldn't be surprised if Jay-Z recorded that album in a day.
Yeah, because, I mean, the thing is, though, like, I noticed that with rap is a young man's sport. Because you got to kind of be living that shit, and then that's when you make better music, when you out there partying, living all that shit. So Jay just outgrown that shit. So that's why, like, he had his album, and it was cool, but then Meek Mill's dropped his shit. You like, damn. Like, Meek Mill's album was better than Jay-Z's album. Meek Mill,
really?
That shit go hard, bro. Like, Meek Mill.
I've seen you on Snapchat listening to Meek Mill.
Yeah, you better be glad. I'm saying, like, when Meek Mills and Drake was beefing, if Meek Mills would have dropped that album when Drake was beefing with him, it would have been over. Because, like, Meek Mill's shit, like, these young dudes got it. That's what I'm saying. Like, you got to be in your prime with that shit. Like, how many rappers do you really know that's, like, over 40 that really, like, got it, that's holding? Well, shit, 2 Chainz got to be about 40. 2 Chainz, Rick Ross about 40. I know they about 40.
Yeah, and I mean, T.I. is only a few years older than us. I wouldn't be surprised if T.I. was 38.
But Jay-Z about 50. Because about 40, that means Jay-Z about 50.
Jay-Z is like our uncle's ages, you know, like, you know, your mom or your dad's like younger sibling. He's the young uncle, you know, still kind of got his foot in the pop culture, still kind of dressed like the young kids do, and probably catches hell at like family reunions and barbecues for trying to act young still. But as far as rappers over 40, man, the only dudes I can really think of who are still making music and making money is like everybody in Wu-Tang.
Oh, shit. You know, no, I take that back, man. I'm thinking about it now. Well, they're not mainstream, though, but you still got Too Short. You still got E40.
Mm-hmm.
Cube don't really do it, but he'll jump in and out when he wants to. But like I said, they're not like, the kids are not flocking to them. They're like, flocking to them. But the kids, like, shit, even Nas, like, if Nas drop an album, if Nas don't got, like, somebody like a J. Cole or Kendrick on it, probably, like, the kids ain't gonna check it, man. Cause I'm saying that shit, like, cause even with music, I look at, like, when they make music, you're kind of, your graphic is like high school, college.
Yeah.
Them the main people, so what age is that? So I'm saying they won't stay with that young stuff.
That would be like the 13, like, it's a unique demographic, man. I guess it would be like the 12 or 13 to 32.
Yeah.
Maybe.
That's and what I'm saying.
We're kind of in that 33 to 48, you know, not really old because, you know, we're still listening to rappers who were hot like in the early 2000s, you know, so it's not like we're like old, like listening to, you know, old Rakim tapes from the 80s, you know, even though I do, you know, that's not, you know, the old school I'm listening to. The old school I'm listening to is like late 90s, early 2000s. Yeah. I'm listening to the to the second 50 Cent album, you know, so but yeah, man, I mean, I don't know about these young cats, man. If there was like one of these young cats that actually had some skill or actually like, you know, I thought like, damn, they could rap. Like, it'd be great, but everybody's kind of on the same, like, you know, like everybody's trying to sound like Migos.
You don't like Chance?
Man, Chance is okay. I think Chance is overrated. Chance has moments where I'm like, yo, that was a dope verse. But if Chance would put out an album where 6 or 7 songs were legit bangers up to the level where everyone holds him at. Like, everyone's looking for the next guy that's not a gangster rapper, but could rap circles around anyone in the game. Someone young enough, because Chance is young. Someone who's in tune with culture. That dude's donating money for causes. You know, that dude's really creative and artistic. Even like a Donald Glover. I think I think those dudes and Donald Glover's last album, it was almost like To Pimp a Butterfly. It was almost
I like the one
too
before
much,
that though.
I'm with you. And I told people that too, man. It's almost like the more you experiment, you take a big risk when you try to put out a concept album or when you experiment, kind of like Kendrick did with To Pimp a Butterfly, which he got mad acclaim for. But I thought, man, that album is really tough to listen to it. I didn't like it either, man. It just got watered down with all that funk and stuff. But people want someone to be their guy, like, the universal, like, everyone likes this guy in rap. This is the guy. Sometimes it's Kendrick, sometimes it's Chance, sometimes it's Donald Glover, and all the mainstream people who just party a lot, all the young folks. Well, Migos, I don't even whatever their names are in Migos.
Quavo, like Offset. I know them two. I don't know the other one. Quavo, Offset. They got some fucking music though. I like that shit.
Some of their jams, man.
I feel like with us, I don't know. It might be a lot of people who feel the same way, but I feel like hip hop kind of keeps you young. So that's why you always want to stay on like what's fresh. What you don't want to just like some people like, oh man, I don't like the new stuff, and they still listen like G Day, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. Like, no man, you gotta stay on the wave, man, because it's a lot of new. I mean, it's a lot of new fresh stuff out there, man. Like some people, they just don't want to latch on. But like I said, I like Nipsey Hussle. I like Don Kennedy. I like Troy Ave too, though. I like Troy Ave a lot. But yeah, man, we've been talking for like an hour and a half now, so we got to go and wrap it up. You got anything you want to leave the listeners with? Man,
by now everyone is familiar with the struggle in Houston right now following the Hurricane Harvey. Man, it's really sobering to watch all of the videos on Facebook. It's amazing people still have cell phone service down there to upload like their SOS calls. People are stranded and uploading Facebook messages and videos, and I mean it's really sobering, man. I don't make this point to criticize any relief efforts. I just bring it up to remind everyone, if you can do something, please do, whether it's spreading the word, donating money, going down there. It's been cool to see people band together to go help people in a tragedy like that. And I just encourage people to continue thinking about those people in Texas, because it is the fourth largest city in the country.
You saw they was getting on Joel Osteen because he didn't open the church up. Shady, bro.
Dude, that's it is, man.
That's why I'm not into. I don't know, man. It's like, bro, come on, man.
Yeah, okay. So you heard, kind of in the same vein, I guess. Hugh Freeze, the head football coach at Ole Miss. You heard about the stuff he got caught up in, right?
The escorts.
Yeah, man. So like, you got this dude who tweets Bible verses and
but it's like, come on, like, bro, like. That's like, it's like, did you want to get caught? Like, come on, man.
Yeah, he was stupid about it. And then they found like, other calls. Like you had that one call, and then it was revealed like, yo, this dude was, making calls to like massage parlors when he was making trips. Not like
that was all up Backpage, huh?
That's what I thought. I said, man, I bet he's all. I bet that's the first thing, man, hitting up all kind of numbers, like, holla at me, I got it.
Oh, but
I got that SEC money.
Bible verses and shit.
Yeah, ever since that dude got hired, and of course me being a Mississippi State alum, that's the rival school. I hated on that dude from day one because I'm a Christian. I'm not deep in my faith, and part of the reason I'm not deep in my faith and practicing as much as a Christian is because I don't really like a lot of Christian people. A lot of Christian people are, they're ostentatious, man. It's all for show. And that bothers me because it should be a little bit more organic, the church experience. I don't like the glitz of like the 4 or 5 piece band. I don't like, how decadent a lot of churches are. I'm like, yo, can't we just, what happened to the organ and the choir? Like, a lot of that bothers me, man. So that dude would be on Twitter, like, Bible verses all the time. And, college football recruiting shady. So I'm like, man, ain't no way in hell you getting all them players, all them big time players. Because, they beat Alabama back-to-back years. They started signing dudes that you're like, Man, why them dudes gonna go to Ole Miss? Why somebody from Chicago, number one receiver in the country, gonna go to Ole Miss? So you knew something was shady, and I always felt like he was rubbing it in everybody's faces, tweeting these Bible verses like, we do it because we do it we win out of the love for one another, not the hate in our hearts for other people. And I'm like, man,
he on there tweeting talking about thou shalt not commit adultery.
yeah. But then gonna go out and call it, man, yeah. So I look at Hugh Freeze the same way I look at Joel Osteen, man. Someone who's on Front Street with their faith like that, like on the regular, like I immediately don't trust them. And who knows, man, there are probably plenty of people out there who are on Front Street like that, because as a Christian, you're supposed to spread the gospel.
Right.
So like I get it, but my default is I don't trust them, and so I'm not surprised to hear that about Joel Osteen. That is very disappointing.
All right, y'all, we out. Make sure y'all hit us up. Any comments, just subscribe to the podcast. Hit us up. We here. We'll be back in 2 weeks. Right?
All right, y'all. Peace.
Let me get
Politics as usual. 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 Politics as usual.